So thank you very much for having me this morning. I got a bit worried about half an hour ago as I was crawling my way up Parramatta Road. So the lesson today, I think, is don't pay any attention to sat nav on a Wednesday morning. Took one wrong turn and then go. Okay, so what I thought I've been asked to outline the role of the Office for Learning and Teaching in advancing the goals of higher education this morning. So I thought what I would do first of all is just talk about, give you a bit of an update and a background where we sit in the broader policy agenda, where we're up to, and a little bit about what's changed between us and the Australian Learning and Teaching Council. So you can see the Minister has announced the establishment of the office in November 2011. We'd been around a little bit before that. A number of the ALTC staff were transferred into the department at the end of September, and 2 or 3 of us had moved in from the department and participated in the consultation with Alison Johns, but officially we came into being in November, and we took over the funding for Learning and Teaching Excellence on the 1st of January. So we're here to manage a suite of grants, awards and fellowships in the same way that the ALTC did. And a big focus for us is contributing to quality improvement in the new demand-driven system. Last week we transferred into the Department of Industry, Innovation, Science, Research and Tertiary Education. So I don't know if you remember back in December, the beginning of December, there was a ministerial reshuffle which saw the whole of tertiary skills and international move from DWER, from the Department of Education, Employment and Workplace Relations, into the new Department of Innovation. And that took place last Thursday. So under a section 72, 1,250 of us have been transferred into the Department of Innovation. It's one of the biggest machinery of government changes that's ever been made, and it's actually only 3.5 months since the announcement was made. So it's been a big change for us to manage at the same time as actually establishing ourselves. But essentially, not a great deal for us has changed. So I've just got the new structure there. So the Minister also moved. We do have a new Secretary, Dr. John Russell, who was the Secretary for the Department of Innovation beforehand. Robert Grew, the Associate Secretary from Education, has come with us. And David DiCarvalho is our division head in the higher education division. And the Office for Learning and Teaching is one of the branches within the team there, but the only one that's based in Sydney. So at the same time the Minister announced the establishment of the office, he also announced the establishment of a strategic advisory committee for the office. One of the things that we got very clearly from the sector in our consultation process was that people wanted us to maintain sort of that unique identity that the ALTC had, while acknowledging, of course, that we were now part of the government bureaucracy. So we've tried to emulate the sort of the board and standing committee structure that the ALTC had. So we've got a strategic advisory committee that's chaired by Margaret Gardner from RMIT, and underneath that we've got 3 standing committees that will provide advice to the SAC on the fellowships, the awards and the grants. And what we got in the terms of reference for the committee, which I think is a really good thing, not only have we got sort of the operational guidance and the recommendations to the Minister on who gets the awards, who gets the grants and who gets the fellowships, but we've also got a role in there for them to provide strategic advice to the Minister on teaching and learning excellence. So it's a really good channel for the sector to get there, to get some perspectives into the Minister's office, aside from all of those other networks and arrangements that are in place. I'll put that up. It's probably a little bit difficult to read, but I wanted to reflect that we got some very clear perspectives from you about the principles that we should be operating on, and I'll give the organisers this slide so you can see it. But it's very much around being evidence-based, being outcomes-focused, being value for money, being open for business, being very student-focused, collaborative, creative. I'd like to see one of those Gaudi buildings come out of one of our projects, but I don't know about that. Maybe through the EVE at some stage. So here we go. This is where we sit within the broader quality agenda. And the way I've been, right from the very beginning, I've been trying to work out how we might sit within the whole quality agenda, and also in our relationship with both TEXA and the Higher Education Standards Panel. And the way that I've been using a cricketing analogy, it started off as a rugby league analogy and a FIFA analogy at one stage, but I think the cricket one is probably the one that I've settled on. The way I'm seeing it is that the Higher Education Standards Panel is like the Australian Cricketing Association, or ACC for all you cricketers, where they set the standards, they set the rules of the game. And then you've got TEXA down there as the umpire making decisions about the state of play on the field. And I'm seeing us very much as the coach. So our focus is around quality improvement. And then we see there are a number of other elements of the advancing quality in higher education agenda that I'm sort of seeing as the scoreboard, although, as Andy was saying, a number of those performance measures and the instruments are a bit up in the air at the moment. But then you've got my university website giving us feedback to the sector about courses and institutions and the trams that you can take back there. I'm sure there'll be a few more glitches that we'll find over the next few days. So where are we up to? So we're still in the business of providing grants for innovation and development and leadership to the sector. We just, the first round of the grants closed, and we've actually got the peer review process starting in Melbourne tomorrow, and then those recommendations will go up to the standing committee. We're still managing a suite of awards for academics and professional staff, and we've adopted the same suite of awards that the ALTC had, so the 5 steps going from citations, teaching awards, program awards, through to the Prime Minister's Teacher of the Year award, and also the Career Achievement Award as well. So they're all still there. Funding for fellowships. The fellowships closed in February, and we had the assessment process for that. I think we had about 16 applications for fellowships for this year, and some really good ones too. So we're looking forward to getting that up to the Minister and announced fairly soon. Big focus still on disseminating resources. It was again something that people that we got very strong feedback from the sector that we still have a long way to go in terms of embedding good practice, disseminating the resources that come out of the fellowships and out of the grants programs. We have our website up and running. It's still a transition website. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done for that. And in fact, Siobhan said to me last night, people had given her some feedback about how we might improve it yesterday. So in terms of clustering things like the good practice report. So it is a work in progress, and we'll bear with us while we keep working on that. And going into a new department with a completely different approach to their IT systems has proved a real challenge for us. You'd think that the Australian Public Service would have a kind of a common platform, but no, we all have it. Each department has a very different way of working. And then facilitating networking and collaboration. And as people may be aware, there are about 25 networks, I think, that were funded as part of the ALTC legacy program. Many of them, about 17, I think, discipline-based. Then we've got 5 that are still that are the state-based networks, and then some national networks as well. So we've been continuing all of that work. Actually, and something that really surprised me, when all of the contracts from the ALTC were novated into the Office for Learning and Teaching, and that time, at the end of September, we had 215 current grant projects and fellowships, a further 25 that were in their final stages of completion, and then of course managing all of the network. So it's been a very busy 3 or 4 months for us, because we have a fairly small team in the office. There are 15 of us at the moment. So it's been we've been focusing a lot on our business processes so that we can manage that workload effectively. And that just gives you a bit of an overview of the timeline. So coming up, we've got the second round of grants in August, citations in June, the teaching and program award nominations in July, and that's about it. Something I did want to flag with you was that we also kept the same eligibility criteria for institutions that can receive funding from the Office for Learning and Teaching. So it's everybody that's in receipt of Commonwealth Grants Scheme supported places. So as well as all of the universities, there are a range of private providers and also a couple of TAFEs that are eligible funding from us as well. Okay, so what's changed? One area that we're focusing on at the moment is commissioning work on issues of strategic importance to the higher ed sector as a whole. The people felt in the consultation process that the ALTC and its predecessor bodies had been really good at allowing 1,000 flowers to bloom, and that it was actually about time that we focused a little bit more and drove a collaborative project or range of projects around issues of national importance for the higher education sector. So at the first meeting of the Strategic Advisory Committee, which was at the beginning of March, they came down on 3 areas of activity for us this year, and they are academic integrity, professionalisation of the academic workforce, and assessing generic graduate outcomes. These are areas that there's already has been a huge amount of work done, but there are still particular areas of those 3 things that we need to work on, and in fact Stephen's been helping with us with looking at the professionalisation of the academic workforce and where we take that one. So we're just in the process of working out where to take those issues, but we will be commissioning that work and advertising that work within the next month or so. The other thing that we want to do is embed a review and evaluation strategy into our work right from the very beginning. It's absolutely essential if we're going to be retaining this funding for learning and teaching excellence that we are able to demonstrate to the government the impact of the projects that we fund and the impact of the awards program. So we're looking at that. We've had some really good conversations with our counterparts in New Zealand about some work that they're doing at the moment, where they've got a network of project officers in New Zealand that have been going out and actually talking to people 6 months after they finished their grants project, and then 12 months after their grants project has finished, to look at the impact that that's had on them as an individual, their institution, and then more broadly. So that's something that we want to get up and running or at least pilot here in Australia very soon, as a first step in our review and evaluation strategy. But we need to do more work on that over the next few months. And strategic partnerships with international bodies. Again, was something that people picked up in the consultation. So I've started off with New Zealand, but we've also had a couple of conversations with our counterparts in the UK as well. We've done a lot of work around practice-based education projects, which I'm sure many of you will be aware of. These are just 3 that we thought we'd highlight today, but if you look at Jan's project, you'll get a great overview of the things that have been undertaken over the years. And the other thing I wanted to, we're actually looking to practice what we preach, and we have just issued a logo design competition to design schools around the country to design some branding materials and a logo for us within the Office for Learning and Teaching. And I was looking through Jan's best practice guide yesterday and thinking, well, this is, I mean, we've got money attached to it, so does that mean 5 minutes? I'm thinking, no, I think I'll be a bit quicker than that actually, so yeah. So there's some money attached to that, and we were going to get industry bods involved in the assessment of the processes, and I know a number of schools are using it as group work projects this semester, which is really fantastic. But I was thinking we do need people to come in from the sector so that we can actually give people some better feedback around their projects, as well as those industry boards. So yeah, I think that is about it from me. So thank you very much. I'm happy to take a couple of questions if people wanted to ask, or are we having them in the panel? Okay, cool. Thank you.